Alright, our faces are live.
Whoa.
Yay.
For the third time tonight.
For the third time.
In the first time in forever, we are going live.
Still my
Why
charger.
is it? What charger?
My cell phone charger. Tricky wife took it.
Was she getting like SSX tricky?
No, just my iPhone.
Why do you think? Oh no, it's working. Michael, say something quick, fast.
This is Michael. Amazon Day Delivery. Shop throughout the week and get your orders delivered
All right,
in
thanks.
fewer boxes.
You're a fewer bucks. Let me grab the pop-out chat so we can have it over here. What is up, people hanging out in chat? Holler at your boy. Let's see.
You should stop doing that in general.
Nope. This is how you do it on YouTube, man. We're not on YouTube. We're on.
I was gonna say.
Welcome to 2020. We're on Twitch.
I guess that's true. So I've got channel points. Man, I've got so many channel points from the Freelancer Codex.
All the
I don't know what
points.
to do with them, though. What do I do with them, Devin?
You can make customized emotes.
Unlock a random sub emote. Let me try that. Open emote picker. Let's see. So if I get the mic emote, so that doesn't work. How am I supposed to like unlock it? No, whatever. That's stupid. It's all stupid. All right, you guys ready to go live and do this whole show thing? Have you guys looked at the show notes today?
I have my own show notes.
You can't have your own show notes. That like defeats the purpose of the show notes.
I mean, that's what happens when you watch video for free.
Did you really just like have a book of show notes?
Yeah.
Turn it around. Turn that book around. What else is in that book? Is that your journal?
No.
What is it? Is that just your Halo book of notes?
No, it's just a book with blank white paper that I write stuff on.
What else do you put in there? I'm curious.
Steve, you're
nothing.
really weird about how books work. Like, what's going on here?
I have
I'm just
I
curious
have
what else he
old
has in it.
drawings when I was in an art class. Look, here's a first hand I tried to draw.
Hold on.
It's all messed up and weird over here.
That's like Southpaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like Southpaw.
This was like when I was taking an art class and you have to hold the pencil like this. You should draw like this. And I'm like, I don't know how to draw like that.
I can't even draw normal. How do you want me to draw
Yeah.
like that?
All right, Drew. Let's see. Let me find a good one. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny.
What on earth? What is that?
I don't think
You
you're
know
allowed
what
to
that
put
is?
that on.
Yeah.
I don't think
You can
you
show
gotta
that,
put
Devin.
that down, man. You gotta put
You can't just give it a face and call it art.
show.
It's not what you think it is.
Oh my god.
Well, here's
what you
another.
do.
Here's that.
If it walks like a dog, if it barks like a dog.
Oh man, you just gave me the hiccups.
It is not what you are implying
crap.
it is.
This was like, I'm gonna draw an alien, and this is my design for an alien.
It has nothing to do with what you think or. Yeah.
Well, 66% of the people on this show have agreed that that's kind of what it looks like. So
Who's that?
focus.
Maleficent.
Is that the chief?
No. It's just some crazy little dude.
Monica
Anyways.
made you mad that day, huh?
Sure.
You're like, okay, sure, I guess.
Look, here's.
All right, let's get this thing kicked off. Those are some teeth. I can only see the teeth. Contrast is not very good. Nope. Still just,
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
only
man.
guessing that they're teeth. All right. So we start this.
Sorry,
I'm back in my notes.
Back to your notes. Starting the Freelancer Codex podcast, episode 133 in 3, 2.
You're listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome, everyone, to the Freelancer Codex podcast, episode 133. I am your host, Steve. Today is July the 28th. It is a Tuesday. It's a day that we do not normally record, but we decided to record a little bit early so that we wouldn't skip out because on Thursday, a couple of us are going to be gone. And I don't know if we can trust Devin to run the show on his own. Devin, should we trust you to run the show on your own?
I mean, I stream 3 nights a week, so...
Yeah, but can you monologue for like an hour and 30 minutes by yourself?
I stream for 2 hours every night.
On more topics
3
than
nights.
just Halo.
Hey, that's all that we need to talk about, all right?
That's true. We are going to do a lot of Halo talk today. SJ, thanks for hanging out with us in chat. How's it going? We're doing good. I am here with my co-host. Michael is here and Devin is here as always. Guys, thanks for being here. We have a lot of fun things to talk about today. A lot of off-topic stuff. We are going to touch on some of the gaming news. There's some news out there. I don't know if it's all like entirely that interesting, but we'll touch on a couple of the topics. But really, I just want to just kind of have a couple candid chats today because I think it's something I need, and then there's a lot of things I need to get off my chest. We're shutting the show down. I'm just kidding. We're not doing that.
Humor.
In the beginning.
All right, humor.
Yeah, that's just humor, guys. Like that's a joke.
Are you sure?
Nope, not really sure. Humor is subjective, like many things in this world, like art. You can.
Yeah.
If you have questions or comments.
Speaking of art,
Devin has some art.
if you didn't tune in to the early live
Yeah.
stream parts,
You took
you missed some of
human
my
anatomy
art.
class and
It had nothing to do with human anatomy.
was putting faces
I'm
on
pretty sure it did.
inappropriate things.
That's not at all
Rusted,
what
thank
it was.
Rusted, thanks for hanging. We'll tweet it out and we'll see the response that we get. How about that, Devin?
Tweet it out. I'm just gonna put it as my display. I'm just gonna put it as my camera the whole time.
I think we will get banned. From Twitch.
How would we get
Rusted,
banned?
thanks for hanging out with us.
It's a drawing.
Okay, yeah, but there's a lot of drawings of things you can't show on Twitch either.
It's an
not like
alien
just because
face.
Please do not show it right now. Whatever you do not put it on camera, okay? Do not do that. If you have questions or comments, oh, not that. Yeah, that does look good. If you have questions or comments, you can write in at freelancercodex@gmail.com. Drop us a line, hit us up. Questions, comments, concerns, all that good stuff. We would like to thank our patrons. We would like to thank Julius, Nathan B, Michael R, Trent B, Man in Steel, Scout 69, Dragonheart 76, Jeffrey H, The Gameplay Experience, and RZ. Thank you so much for your patronage. We really appreciate the support that you've given us on the Freelancer Codex. This has been a fun adventure that we have been on, that we will continue to be on, because we don't plan on shutting the show down as long as we enjoy playing video games, and that's probably going to be forever, despite what my wife wants. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you everyone for chat. So real quick, Devin, I just kind of wanted to jump into a couple topics, but first I wanted to know what you have been up to this week. I know we recorded only like 5 days ago, but in those 5 days, what have you been doing with your time?
Well, so I've been spending time with my family.
That's good.
Just hanging out. Playing some games, playing some Halo. But, yeah, mostly
Halo
just...
5 specifically, or you've been jumping into the other Halos?
Yeah, I've been playing Halo Infinite. It's all up here in my head, but, no.
Did you jump into Halo 3 at all after it came to Steam?
Oh, you mean to PC? Yeah. I played it on PC, through the Windows Store. I have it through the Windows Store, but... Yeah, I mean, I was going through... I was in their flight testing for it, working out the kinks on the campaign and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Field of view slider changes a ton of things. Changes,
Does it really?
Yeah, you can go up to 120, and if you put it on 120, it feels like you're sprinting in Halo 5, even though you're going the exact same speed. So it's crazy. So
how it just changes it up that much. Have you found that when you are doing all these flights, are you more excited to play the game when it hits release, or less excited when it hits release?
I think about the same. It doesn't diminish my excitement to play. Just, if anything, it's like, okay, I can actually play and continue my progress instead of play some of the stuff and then have it not carry over. But that's just part of testing, right? Play the stuff and it doesn't save, and you get the opportunity to play it early and give you feedback, and so it's a lot of fun. I'm hopeful,
cool.
that once they are able to start fighting for Halo Infinite, that I might be able to get in.
Do you think they are going to start fighting for Infinite? Is that something that they've talked about?
Yeah, they've talked about it in their interviews. So after the show last week, they did a bunch of interviews, and all the information is still slowly trickling out from all the different people. There was groups that would get together, and they would go over the demo with you and explain stuff as they were going through, and then you could ask questions, basically. And so all these people that have had asked different questions and whatnot, and so they have uh, slowly given that information out as people are putting it in their videos or however they get the information out there. But they talked about how because of the pandemic and stuff and working from home, it's a lot harder, and the scope for flighting has definitely changed. But it is something that they want to do, and it's also something that they plan on using going forward as well with future content for Halo Infinite. So I see that as a good sign. It's not they're not doing like the whole games as a service, but they're definitely like they said, they want it to be a platform, and they're gonna add downloadable content for it. Whether that's, I'm guessing this gonna be story content and much easier stuff to do. Whether it's mission type stuff for similar level of Spartan Ops or not, I don't know. But that's kind of the direction they're going. So
Cool. And I think we could probably talk a lot about more, because I think we're going to have a Halo dedicated section on this podcast, because I think there's a lot of things that we need to talk about. We need to kind of get off our chest, so we'll save the rest of that for a little bit later. So Mike, what have you been up to in the last couple of days that we have not talked?
So the last time we met, I said that I was probably gonna maybe start getting back into Destiny because I'm trying to find something to play, something to kind of get back into the thing and try to get those habits going to where you start playing and find that time. So I actually did. I ended up going back to Destiny. And I have
You're never
no
going to be
idea.
able to cut that ball and chain, are you?
No, I think I can. I'm to the point now where I'm like, this is because before it was I have to play this, but now it's like, okay, I'm
Right.
gonna play this now, right? So it's not. I definitely don't feel that same kind of draw, mostly because I didn't realize I was gone from Destiny for that long,
Yeah, it's
but I
been
am
years.
behind. I
It's been
am.
almost 3 years, Mike.
Has it been that long? And I am
Yeah.
lost. I
yeah.
have no clue what I should be doing, where I should be going. But aside from that, picking up a gun and shooting the things in the face like that comes back quick to you, right? And so it's super fun. Trying to get your light level, your power level up to. When I logged on, I was at 750, and one of my quests is get to 900. So I guess that's how far behind I am. So gotta
So
get up that high.
SJ asked, what was the last expansion that you played?
So I was actually trying to think of that while I was talking. I don't know.
You just played
So
launch
you-
Destiny 2 was the last thing you played, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
It must have.
We-
Yeah, I don't think I got a Destiny 2 expansion. So
I
it was
believe that would
just
have
when
been
Destiny 2 came out.
Osiris. Osiris was the first expansion for Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. I don't think I finished Destiny 2.
No, we did. We beat Gaul. Remember when we
Was that-
fought Gaul the first time, he like completely bugged and like
Oh, he
didn't do
totally-
anything.
Well,
and
it's
the
because
thing
we
just
burned him
ended.
down too far. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's
so
because we hit level cap in like the first 10 seconds of the game.
yeah. So I don't have any of the Destiny 2 expansions. And so I'm there. I'm trying to find Eris because she's bat crap crazy and doing something weird, right? So that's right. I mean, and like I said, it's not terrible. It's fun. The guns are cool. The play is fun. Shooting the things are fun. So I mean, that's where I am. The boys are getting into it. They're wanting to play and stuff. So I might let them do their own characters on the Xbox and play there because I ported everything over. Not ported, but I took everything over to PC after we were done playing on the Xbox, and so moving everything up that way.
I think it'll be interesting to hear your story of like whether you continue with it despite the lack of onboarding, like with the new light thing, like everyone getting access to those. and not having like clear direction of what you're supposed to do. Because I booted it up one time before also when they announced the new light thing, and I was completely lost also.
Mhm.
Granted, I did not give it enough time to go in and search and figure out what I needed to do, because we could have very easily like looked up a guide online that
Oh, yeah.
says, I'm new, what should I do? And then that would have given us, direction, but I didn't do that. So yeah, I'm interested to hear like your if you stick with it, if it's something that you really enjoy doing, if you end up picking up the expansions, or like, I mean, I guess when it comes to
So
Game Pass, you shouldn't
yeah,
have to get the expansions, right?
yeah, it's coming to Game Pass. That's kind of what the lead up was knowing that it's gonna come. Was it August, October? It's coming soon, right? Because we found that out. We found that out at Xbox
Yep.
show a couple weeks ago or a week
I will
ago.
tell you,
Yeah. So one of the big things, Steve, also is
November 10th.
November. So that not only do
That's when the new
don't
expansion
know
comes.
where to go, I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
where I am. Like I have no
Mhm.
indicators of saying like
SJ says September.
you are at this point in this current expansion, right? So there's nothing that indicates that. I guess if you go to like your quests page, but man,
But when
there
there's
are
like
a
page
lot
after
of
page after
menus.
page,
Yeah,
it's
there are a
so
lot
much stuff
of
to do,
menus
and
to navigate, and it's just like, okay, shut down.
well, and it
Go to Earth
yeah.
and shoot some things.
What
Get some
what makes it
eggman.
even worse is like trying to load it up on current gen consoles
Mhm.
is like minutes of load time just to load into the tower, and then when you're going out of there, you're loading just to get into the other loading screen, and
Mhm.
And I guess that's one of the reasons that they are putting some of that old content that isn't played as much like into the vault, right? Because that's just taking up loading time. It's taking up space that they could be using for other things. So at least Destiny, like Bungie, is like, hey, we need to do something about this problem, and like they're actively doing it. So I think it's super cool that a game where we complained all the time about there not being enough content, that you 3 years later going back, you're like, I don't even know what to do. There's so much stuff here. And granted,
But
that's
I'm not
because we haven't
sure.
played in 3 years.
Well, and I'm not sure it's a content issue, right? I think it's more of a linear, or not even linear. It's more of a progression issue,
Yeah, it's onboarding for new players, right?
right?
There needs to be a clear path of when, if you are brand new and you load up this game,
Hmm.
this is where you start. This is what you need to do. And
But
there,
even if you're brand new, there's more of a delineated progression for you. If you're a returning player,
yeah.
is when it gets tricky.
Well, they just put
'Cause-
everything's on the screen, and you're like, where am I supposed to look?
yeah,
And you're looking at the map, you're like, where am I supposed to go? Because unlike when you first start playing and there's only one or two planets or one or two locations, there's just everything's right there, and you're like,
and you log
maybe.
into the tower and like every icon is blinking, go here, go here, go here, and you're like, okay,
analysis
but do I
paralysis.
really need to go here? Like as far as story goes, who do I need to go to?
And
Who
why?
is the main quest giver? Exactly.
Is
But
it
like I said, I have plenty of time before September,
Destiny.
before everything comes to Game Pass. So I'll be able to at least try to catch up, get my light level where it needs to be, because right now every activity is just above where
Who you should talk to is you should talk to Lupo. He can be your
You should
Sherpa.
talk to Lupo. He
I
could tell you
should.
exactly what you need to do. Katie, we're talking about things that we have been playing. So Mike's been jumping into Destiny. Mike, is it more overwhelming than when we booted up Warframe for the first time that one day, and then immediately he
my
uninstalled the
gosh.
game and just walked away? We like put through the Xbox into the dumpster and like, all right, see you later.
The again, so the problem being, I think the problem being is that there was a lot of history with Destiny, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There were not even, I'm not even judging it in hours anymore. Like there were years within
Right.
like months that we played, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean there's still that familiarity, but with Warframe I was like, I don't even know what's happening. So
Yeah. So SJ says I got into Destiny 2 with New Light and had to look up a guide just to find the campaign. So not only
yeah,
so it's not just a you problem, which sometimes I suspect it might just be a Mike problem that he can't find the.
most of the time it is.
Yeah. So that's very cool. I'm excited to hear your journey because, like, when you told me that you were playing that other game, like that Aria whatever game,
Legends of Aria.
I was
I
like, there's no way Mike even plays this game for more than 5 minutes.
I tried it, but I tried it. I downloaded it. I jumped in, built the character, started walking around that first little camp, and was like, yeah. But you know what? At
Yeah.
least I tried it, right? I tried it.
No,
Trying new
and that's true.
things, judging. I totally judged the book by its cover, right? The game title had a knight looking into the middle distance, looking at a village. I'm like, oh, this will be kind of cool. This might be Diablo-esque. It wasn't,
No,
right?
it's not.
So we'll try some other stuff. But
That's what Game
we'll
Pass
try
is for,
Destiny
right?
Also, exactly. That's what it's for. Try new stuff. And man, there are
Broaden
some
our
interesting.
horizons.
There are some interesting games out there.
Well, you were on
Devin's-
Steam, yeah. So
Speaking
you were on
of
Steam.
Devin's
So
art,
I can
speaking-
imagine all the free-to-play games that you saw on Steam.
I'm like, what is going
right,
on here?
So real quick, I have a
Don't do
problem,
it.
right? So yeah, don't show the picture, Devin. So I'm super into like mechs. Like I want to. So Katie, I have not tried Lucid Dreams yet. I'm still working my way through Binary Domain.
I thought you were
I'm
supposed to finish
close
that last week.
No, I am going to finish it this week. I'm close to finishing it. I'm pretty close to the end. There are some really stupid story stuff that happens in that game. Like it makes me laugh. It's like cringe-worthy story writing, right? It's just really weird. The American is written like the obnoxious American frat boy, which is kind of weird to me. But it's not that weird because it's a Japanese game made by Sega. So I totally understand that. So I haven't done Lucid Dreams yet. I'm going to finish that up. Then I started playing Dead by Daylight. So Dead by Daylight, there are 4 campers trying to escape a serial killer from this map. So Mike, Devin, I don't know if you guys know about this game or not, but the quick rundown is there's 4 characters. The villain is actually a player. So there's 5 people playing. 1 person is supposed to stop the 4 campers. The 4 campers are supposed to escape. There are 5 generators that need to be restarted. Anytime like you mess up or you make too loud of a noise, the killer is alerted to your presence, and the killer's job is to murder you before you can escape. So this sounds like a game that I would never be like super interested in. I mean, it's like Evolve. Evolve was very much this, like super early. Same thing with Fable Legends. Fable Legends was a little bit different because like the Overlord in Fable Legends was actually like buying creatures in order to stop you. That game never made it out of beta. Was it the beta that we played it?
Yeah, we played alpha tech tests and then beta and then
and then they killed it. So Dead by Daylight, it's not a game that I would have suspected that I would like, but it's fun because it's quick, simple gameplay, but there's depth to it. And it's kind of intense because you have that feeling of like, oh, am I going to escape? Is he going to get me? Is this killer really good? Because there are some matches where I've played where the killer was not good and it was like super easy cakewalk. And those were my first matches. So I'm like, this game is not that bad. What is everyone talking about? And then I got into a game where the killer was actually really good and we just completely got wrecked. So it's on Game Pass. Dead by Daylight is on Game Pass. I encourage you guys, we should probably download it and play it together sometime if we ever play games ever again together, like in the future. I don't know when that's going to be, but I think you guys should at least try it. I actually had a lot of fun with it. I'll probably play it a couple more times on stream before I move on to something else, but it's pretty interesting game and there's like a huge following for it now. So Friday the 13th was a game that came out. I think that was Adam Sessler's studio that kind of got shut down for whatever reasons because of licensing. And Dead by Daylight that has been continuing and it's been pretty successful. So pretty interesting game. I encourage you guys to check it out. So I have been looking for a mech game because I'm into super giant robots, Gundams, all that fun stuff. Like the name just left me. The movie with the Jaegers,
Pacific Rim.
So I've been looking for a game that captures that feeling of being in a mech, and I've run into this issue. A lot of these games centered around mechs are super Japanese, and not to mention there's like the anime characters that are like, okay, yeah, we get it. You've got real big chesticles. But all of the combat is super floaty and arcadey. Like you're in this, Devin, just don't show the pictures. Steve with the sudden Aussie accent, Death by Daylight. Ha! Rusted. So you should actually hear Devin's Aussie accent. I think Devin does the best Australian accent.
There you go.
Not bad, Devin. You should do the rest of the show in that accent. But so the problem I've been having with all these games is that combat is super, super floaty in all these games. Like there's nothing that actually lets you feel the weight of being in a giant robot. And I think the big thing is that, and I do know that Gundam is like is a Japanese series, but here's my issue, and here's what you guys need to tell me about. I think this is like a story gameplay issue that most mech games or most movies or most TV shows that I enjoy where there is a mech, only 10% of the time is spent with the mech.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is either story or humans doing other things. And I don't know if there's a game out there that really actually captures that, because they're like, oh, the gameplay has to be good and it's got to be front and center. And like the gameplay is all super boring in a lot of these games that I play. But like, I mean, is there
what about Titanfall?
So, and that's what I was going to say. Like Titanfall does it right because you are in and out of the mech. And I think they knew that it's like, hey, we can't be in the mech the entire time because that cheapens the experience. And then you have to feel like, you know, you're weak in order to feel the strength of being in a mech, right? Devin, you got to stop moving like that, dude. Like, it makes me motion sick. Like Devin is moving on the screen and I am not. It's messing me up. And I don't know if I'm explaining this right or not, but other than Titanfall,
I can understand your point, although you're not explaining it correctly because your command of the English language is just lacking.
Right.
But I understand what you're saying.
I can draw you a picture if you want.
Devin can. So if you're in the mech all the time, which is again what your point is that you're in the mech, so that's your character. So then you're not. That's just who you are. You're not any weaker when you're out. You're not stronger when you're in. So I get that part. That makes a lot of sense. Plus, with something that big in a world where there's also humans, like the mechs aren't built for the human world, right? So there's a disconnect there anyway. They have to mesh well. Pacific Rim, from a story standpoint, does it really well because you have to defeat these big monsters. But we couldn't have our characters living in a mech and just walking around patrolling the area, right? So I get that. And probably the same way in games, because again, it's just too big. You can't see the action because it's too big. You're the little human. So I get it.
And so I come back to, like you were saying, like it all comes back to Power Rangers for me, right?
Nice.
Because Power Rangers, when you're growing up, you're like, oh, these mechs are so cool. But it's like, this is the last 20 seconds of the show. Like, you couldn't have this whole show be that, because then that just kind of ruins your story. Like you said, it's like, oh, I'm going to just walk through this cardboard city and now everybody is dead. You know, and like those teenagers killed a lot of people in those fights, right? All those cardboard buildings that were inhabited by people.
They were totally not inhabited, right? It was always down in the abandoned fishing district.
How many abandoned districts are in this dang city?
So many.
Right, no, and that's where you get the plot line to The Incredibles. So,
yeah, and Katie, I'm not like you can not like Power Rangers. That's fine. I'm not a huge fan of it. I was just going back to like, you know, where is this base? Why are there not games like built around the mechs? And it's because like story wise, it's just like it takes up such a small part of, you know, what it would really be like being in one of those things. So I need to find like a AAA experience that has you fighting in a big giant mech, and maybe that's like a Kojima game. Maybe I'm just looking for Metal Gear or something. But anyway,
you're looking for like Robot Wars, the game where it's just a Street Fighter version with mechs, right? Like that's what you're looking for.
I don't know, because they had a Pacific Rim fighting game, and that game was terrible by all means. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was actually out there. All right, last thing, because I did a bunch of other stuff, but this is a dumb story, because this is kind of typical me. So my stupid iPhone has been going out because the charge port is not working. So anytime I plug in my phone, like you wiggle the cord and it loses connection, it comes back, and it's super frustrating because I do a lot of work with my phone because I take a lot of pictures, and trying to transfer files with like a wonky cable that if you breathe on it, it disconnects. It really sucks. So instead of buying a brand new phone, I'm like, well, I'll just buy this $12 ribbon and replace it, right? So that's no big deal. I like take apart iPhones all the time and replace it for people. No big deal. I ended up with 4 screws left over. I don't know where these screws go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. So far, I don't think the phone has actually needed them. So I'm just like waiting for the day. It's like, oh, that's where this screw goes. So if you do take apart your phone, just know you don't have to use all the screws again. Some of them are optional.
I do know the fix though.
What's the fix?
Upgrade your phone.
So and
Well,
then when you do, right, get the magnetic charge cables. Right? So the one that you just plug into the end there and you leave it there, you never take it out, and it just connects to the other end via magnets.
Telling me that you never take it out?
Honestly, Michael. Honest.
You left Devin speechless. That's really rare.
I'm gonna draw a picture right now.
I'm actually surprised that your phone isn't the Quibi, the QRIQ QT. What's it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, how come you don't use wireless charging? But you have to plug into your
yeah,
machine
to
take
get the information off of his.
So I fixed it and it works fine. It's like charge port, boom, perfect. I just have 4 extra screws, so you know.
So you go to the doctor and he performs the surgery and he's like, I got these 4 extra bones. What do I do?
I mean,
with them?
if I don't need them, but I mean, you know, fixing my phone is a little bit different than going into the hospital for an invasive procedure, right? I don't think those two things are equivalent.
Well,
but,
okay.
All right.
I'll give you that one.
So that's what we've been doing. We can talk about a lot of things later. So really what I want to do is I want to kind of dive back into Halo and do a recap from the last couple days, because more than any other game this year, I don't think we have seen a reaction like we have seen a reaction to Halo Infinite. Right? I know there was huge backlash for The Last of Us 2. But a lot of that was centered around story, and a lot of that was also overinflated, and a bunch of fans like just I don't know. I think a lot of that was also unwarranted, unqualified. I mean, people can like what they want. We've always said we're not going to tell people how to feel. But between Last of Us 2 fan outlash and Halo Infinite fan outlash, it's like kind of tripping me out. So what I did, because everyone has said on the internet that Halo Infinite looks like garbage, and a lot of people said, hey, it looks amazing. So I went back and listened to our reactions, because I wanted to know like where we landed and where we fell, and wanted to know if we were like completely off base from everyone else. And we were just kind of like, hey, this is how it looks, this is the style they're going for, it is what it is, and move on. So we didn't really touch too much on the graphics of the game. So I would kind of like to talk about that now and get our thoughts and opinions on how Halo Infinite looks and whether we like it or whether we dislike it. So Mike, we'll start with you. Like, thinking of Halo Infinite, did the graphics stand out to you at all?
I don't think they stood out for me, but that doesn't mean that they were bad either. For me, it just seemed like they were
just there. They served their purpose.
Yeah, they served their purpose. I guess I'm not sure if they supposed to stand out. Are we going with some new? I mean, they looked on par with everything else that I had watched. So I don't know if I was supposed to be amazed by them.
No, and so this is why, like, I'm glad to have your opinion, Mike, because we have Devin, who is a super fan, who notices everything. You, who is just like, hey, I'm here to play the games. So we're gonna have like a good like gauge of, you know, Devin reaction compared to Mike reaction, and I'll fall somewhere in the middle. That, you know, does it really matter that much that the game doesn't like blow you away graphically? Like, would the way that it looked, Mike, does this like change your desire to buy the game? Would, like, looking at what you saw, looking at those graphics, do you say to yourself, I'm not buying this game because of how it looks?
I mean, if it looked like SNES Star Fox, maybe I'd be like, no, I'm not gonna get this, right? But
right.
And I don't mean to cause Devin anxiety or anything, but it looked like, it looked like Anthem. It looked like Destiny that I just got done playing. It looked like what did the boys and I play? Overwatch, it looks. I mean, it just.
So
I
you would
guess.
say
I
it looks
guess I
current
don't.
gen.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
current gen. That's a good way to say it. It looks current gen.
Okay. So Devin, like after everything that you saw, everything that's been going on, like what was your take when you first saw? I mean, are you even able to separate like what you saw from your Halo fandom? Is
Yeah,
that
no, I
something that
mean,
you personally can do?
yeah, when I first saw it, I was definitely like, okay, first, the initial, when he's talking with the pilot, that looks amazing, looks super, it looks really good. Obviously, the pilot is less, the bar was a little lower because what they wanted to do with Halo Infinite is go back to doing their own cinematics, right? So that's what they're doing instead of doing blur cinematics. Like that was one of the craziest, most overblown things when people were trying to compare like in-game brute models versus blur, from Halo Wars 2 cinematic brutes. It's like, come on, that's not even a fair comparison at all. Movie style, super high quality cinematic, uh, you know, from Blur Studios versus in-game running an engine on in real time cinematic. And so I think the game looked good. There's definitely issues. I mean that's really obvious. I mean I've watched the demo probably at least probably 50 to 60 times, I would say, since Thursday.
Yeah. Seems
And
about right.
um
Yeah.
I mean there's definitely issues, but there's also a lot of little things that I didn't even notice, and I'm still like even today like that's what my notes were from, is from watching it again today. But I watched it at 0.25 speed in 4K, right? And that just gives me the opportunity. And I've watched it like 3 or 4 times that way today, and it's just like, oh, I didn't even see these little things. There's so many details. So like at first glance, it definitely looks current gen, but at the same time, there's so many things that you could not even do with current gen. But I don't know. I think there's two different things. People are trying to compare enclosed linear, you know, graphics versus large, huge open world. The level of graphics have to be looked at in the context that the game is being made. Right? You can't have super high level visuals of a linear, single player story like that you get with the PlayStation at 30 frames per second versus an extremely large open world 60 frame per second game. So I think that's one of the biggest problems, is they were just really the messaging when it was played. You know, I would say like Mike's outlook on it is one that most people, if they saw it, would have, versus the people online who are really invested in one box or the other, or this box succeeding, this box failing. And so any kind of negative spin anybody can put on it, they're going to put on it if you're for the PlayStation over Xbox, if you want them to die or whatever else. And so I think that's definitely a lot of the problems, and it's really not. There's several key issues, which if you haven't watched the Digital Foundry video that they put out, which is very good about some of the lighting techniques and different issues that you can see in the game that can definitely be fixed, but are also there for current gen consoles, and explained why some of the graphics look the way they do. And so
Yeah. And I think a couple of things that have come out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not as tapped into Halo as you are, but this is older build. This
Yeah.
was something that was supposed to, like Halo Infinite was supposed to launch with the Xbox Series X, not Series X, sorry, Xbox One X. That's
no,
going to be
the Series
confusing
X,
to me.
the One X is
It
already
was
out.
right, but wasn't this like the rumors that I saw? And this could be totally wrong, so you can tell me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong or not. Okay, so it's wrong. That this was supposed to be like a launch title for when the Xbox One X came out.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I guess you could say that. I mean, it was supposed to come out earlier, right? But because of fan backlash to the story in Halo 5, this is all just rumors from different people. But they're insiders with many connections, right? They're basically saying, yeah, this game was supposed to come out, 1 to 2 years ago, for current gen consoles. So that's also another problem there, where you can't just, you've been making a game for 3 or 4 years and you can't all of a sudden just be like, well, you know what? Now we're putting it on the next generation console, so we need to upres all the environments, models, everything else, and put all the new technology that's supposed to be in there. And I think that's one of the other expectations that people had was like, okay, this is supposed to be the big showcase for the Series X, right? This was
Right.
supposed to be, hey, we're gonna show you how this 12 teraflops can be used in every way possible. Um, but that's not the case, right? And so that was again part of the messaging error. I think that Xbox had was they didn't go in with the correct messaging for the game, which really led to the backlash that it received because they let the rampant hype just go on. I mean, they can read the same stuff as everybody else. They have people that go there and post stuff on these same forums, so they know and they see them. They should be like, hey, we should really put out something that says, hey, this is not what it's for. But they also don't want to be like, oh, hey, we were gonna put this out like a year or two ago, but we held it back, and now we're gonna put it out at launch on this.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to say that, but so it was definitely a rock and a hard place for them. But
And I think Microsoft has notoriously been bad at their messaging. I think they've
yeah,
been better this year, this generation so far. Like
Mhm.
I don't think like this is a huge misstep for Xbox as much as people want other people to believe, right?
Yeah, for
Like a
sure.
lot of people out there want to believe like this was the worst showing ever and how dare they do this? I guess I don't see it that way. And I mean, that might be me just saying, hey, I'm not going to buy a Series X anyway because I'm going to buy a PlayStation 5 because I can play all these on my computer. So maybe I'm just not as invested. And again, I'm like not invested in the console war either.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably has a lot to do with it. Like you said, there are, you know, there's a lot of attacks out there on Xbox, whether people think it's warranted or not. Like it's just insane. It's like it's just a plastic box, and Microsoft wants to sell you. They want your money, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. If anyone thinks differently about Sony, then like I don't. I've got oceanfront property to sell you in New Mexico. Um, but like from what I saw graphically, like I got excited about Halo again, and
Mhm.
I don't think like graphics came into play for me at all. Like I saw it and I said, okay, that looks like Halo. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it has to do something different. Like I remember, and Devin, you probably do too, when Halo 4 screenshots came out and the hyper detail that the grunts had, like there was backlash against that also,
Yeah.
like how that looked and how different it looked compared to Halo 3, Halo Reach. So I don't know if it's like well, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like good luck. Like I am not going to like say, hey, this Halo Infinite fails because of how it looks. Like Halo will fail if the story is bad.
Yeah.
Like and that's what it comes down to. Well, that and if the multiplayer is bad, right?
hmm
Because it's we're back on a Halo with the chief, with the guy that doesn't want to be there, and I think that's like one of the cool story
It
tropes.
was so funny. Yeah.
You have the hero, and then you have the reluctant hero. So like let's go, let's just go like find out what is happening on this Halo. Like what are the precursors doing? What are the banished going to be doing out here? Like yes, like the up close of the brute, like yeah, his teeth look super plastic, and like you said, Devin, like everyone like go watch the Digital Foundry breakdown. Like those people are smart, they know exactly what they're talking about. They're explaining to you why it is like this, whether that's good or bad. They're giving you a reason of why it is. um and Rusted says graphics, aka eye candy in games is only a good thing, and I agree. I love like games that just look amazing.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that Halo fails because of the way it looks. Again, it'll fail because of narrative or whatever, but like I just want to find out more of what's going on this Halo ring because I enjoy being in their universe. So I don't know. So and that's probably just because we're not super invested in this. Like, hey, let's kill each other over whose box is going to perform better. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
Gabe Newell came out and said, hey, Xbox is the best. Square Enix said, hey, the PlayStation 5 is the best. Like, okay, whatever. Like, if you want to pin your hat on, hey, this person said the decision I'm making is the better decision, and if that's what it all comes down to,
Yeah.
like cool, like go take your rhetoric somewhere where people care. Like I am super excited just to play games wherever, right? And that's what we're about here. So So Devin, like, I am super curious for you to like break down the small things that you notice that other people have missed in this trailer, because that's really what I care about. Like, we can talk about graphics all day, but I think we're just excited to play some more Halo.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And people are like, oh, well, it's not going to be improved that much, the visuals or whatever else. It's like this build. You know how long it takes to make a playable demo. Set aside just to do this. And talking with developers that we've talked with, and playing early versions of games and different things, it takes a lot of effort for developers to split off a team just to take, okay, here's a build, take this, polish this one part as best you can, even though other parts of the game may have new improvements that aren't even going to be in there, right? And they do this, and people are like, well, why are they playing something that's like 4 months old? Because they want to play something that's not going to crash. They want,
It's not going to crash. It's going to do what they want. It's performance.
Here's what it is.
It's showing everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then the fact that it was supposed to be in June and then got delayed, and they're like, well, why don't they just do it again? Because they're not going to waste more time, right? They're like, look, we're all working from home. It's already taking longer to do this stuff, and we're still trying to get the game out, on time. They're launching it on, more platforms than they've ever launched a game on. They're launching on Steam, Windows Store, 3 different Xboxes, so it's like they're doing all kinds of stuff. Yes, they're a huge studio with lots of budget, but there's definitely things that will improve and definitely gonna make a difference. But there's a ton of little small things, and so I'll go. I have a list here, and I'll just go over some of these things. And so the thing that I found interesting though was they said they'll have a ray tracing patch that comes out later, right? That'll really take advantage.
It's not going to be there at launch.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, what are they using for the reflections? Right, so in the beginning, if you're watching the demo, you can see the environment reflection. You can see the downed ship, UNSC ship in there. But the biggest thing that I saw was when the chief comes out and he's fighting those first 3 grunts, is there's real-time reflections in the water of the grunt moving. And like when he gets shot and stuff, and when he dies, you can see his reflection moving in the water as you're playing. And I was like, that was, really interesting, because that takes a lot of extra effort. And so I'm like, if that's not ray tracing, I don't know what they're using, right, for that. So,
yeah, something I did not notice, and something that, like, well, you don't have to put in the effort to do this to be reflected in the water, but
yeah. So, another thing that I noticed as I was watching today, so all the plasma weapons cast their own light, right? And they'll put a glow on the ground, they'll put a glow on other characters, objects, whether that's just, and it's all the different colors, they all have bright, vibrant colors, but you can see it casting light from that source itself. And so again, that's more detail, more lights, and I'm guessing you probably won't get that on current gen consoles because of how, extensive that is. And, every bullet, casts its own light as it's going out for every piece of plasma that's being fired out, which was a lot of detail. The same with fusion coils and shields. Those all cast light on the environment. So when you're moving them or throwing them, it all casts a different light as it's moving in real time. So, another cool thing was smudges on the ammo counter, right? I mean, lots of other people notice that, but if you look on his AR, like when he's first moving around, and he's like spanning up after he killed the grunts, and the demo was really scripted, as you could see where like that banished ship didn't move until he got over there to the pan to the right, and then it's like, okay, I'll go up and move, But you can see when it reflects on the sunlight, you can see smudges on the actual glass of the counter, which I thought was crazy. I was like, people were like, oh, their textures are really flat and everything else, but like they explain in that thing, they're using real-time lighting in the game, which is really costly. And obviously when they show it off in the sunshine, you can see especially when I'm watching at 0.25 speed, you can really see all the details in all the weapons anytime it's in the sunlight, right? And so in that video, he explains kind of why this was like a bad place to show off the stuff, because it's in a lot of shadow, which doesn't show a lot of the finer details in all the weapons and the textures. But that's also because most people are used to everything being pre-baked into it, right? So you're used to already having shadows, having highlights, everything always be there no matter what kind of light it is, whereas this is a new, real time global lighting, and so that makes a huge difference. So that's something that people have to kind of get used to. You can't see the same amount of details when it's in the shade or in a darker area as you can when you're out in the sun. That's just how it is. Right? So another cool thing with the Warthog, it has independent suspension. Right? If you're looking at the Warthog, you can actually see the coils, compress and everything else when they're moving on their own. But one of the coolest things I saw was, so when the Master Chief runs over that grunt that's trying to kill him the first time with the plasmas, is the front tire blows off and you can see it's just a rim in the front and he's still driving, but it's like the front's like teetering down into the dirt and it's like causing a mess right there. And so I thought that was pretty cool. It doesn't just blow off a broken wheel that's sitting somewhere. It like blew off the tire and left the rim on the Warthog. So I thought that was pretty cool. The actual lights on the Warthog, even during the day, like when he first turns and goes around to go up to the bend on that broken piece of ship, you can see the lights from the Warthog actually shining on the environment and on the pieces of the ship, even during the day. So it makes, when you're looking in the environment, you can see places where there can be lights coming from all over the place. So I'm really interested to see at nighttime, what it is, because they have a day-night cycle. So I'm interested to see how big of an effect those lights really have at night. The grunts, they had different explosions. So if he shot the methane tank behind him, that was like big green explosion. Or if you just shot them in general, it had like the purple mist for their blood that would come out.
For their blood.
Yeah, and so I thought that was really cool. All of the blood, like there was a lot of blood, but it doesn't stay on the ground; it just instantly disappears, right? So when you see him and he's shooting the Covenant or the Banished, they all have blood, but it just disappears and doesn't stay on the ground. So the other cool thing I noticed is with the physics for with the new, I don't know what it's going to look like on the current gen, obviously, or how it's going to play out, but where they got shot with the bullet, like that's where they actually got pushed back from that impact of the bullet. So they would move their character and everything from that impact instead of the ragdoll physics would actually reflect like being shot, So I thought that was pretty cool. Something that you're not really going to see on the Xbox One version. I don't even know what you're going to see on the Xbox One version.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's probably going to be like 720p. I don't know. But let's see here. So again, we talked about the graphics and stuff like that. The character models are actually again really detailed on their skin when you can get up close to them. Like when the Chief is up close to him in the video, and you can see when they're in the sunlight. Like on the Elite, you can see fine details on their armor suit. Whether that's the small little rubber bits that are sticking up, or if you're looking at the grunts, you can see all the different stuff on their forehead and their arms whenever you're really close to them. So I don't know whether it's a loading issue or if it's also still just the lighting from a distance that makes them look not so detailed. But if you go through again and watch, especially like around 6 minutes, when he's kind of goes up the hill and he's kind of fighting the brutes and stuff right there, there's a lot of places where he's really close to enemies. There's a lot of detail in those character models. So one of the things,
you should just make your own video breakdown, Devin. Like, what's going on here?
No, there's a lot of stuff. I have like 4 more things.
Okay.
So
No, I just like you should like break it down from Devin. You should.
There's a lot of stuff, right? So a lot of people noticed that they went back to vibrant colors. When I was playing Halo 5, some people that are coming in commenting like, "Oh, I thought these weapons are supposed to be like purple and all this stuff." Like in Halo 5, they kind of changed the color palette for the Covenant. And they're kind of going back to that again. And so that was something I think people will enjoy that really kind of picked that out. There's also, so in Halo 5, you can do a pulse, basically, to like kind of show you where you need to go. And there's also a pulse from the Master Chief in this trailer before he kind of goes up and fights the brutes, when he harpoons the fusion coil and throws it. Before he uses his grapple shot to go up the hill, he does the pulse, and you can see it kind of go through the environment, and it highlights 4 or 5 of the fusion coils up on the hill, but you can see them through the hill because they're outlined in yellow, right?
Yep, didn't notice that when I watched it.
So it also does that for weapons, but that's just like all the time for weapons. It puts a white outline around grenades and weapons all the time, so you can see them really easily when you're picking stuff up. And then in the last scene when he's fighting against the brutes, two of the brutes actually have overshields. So one of the cool things that it looks like for the shields, at least for the Master Chief and the elites, they're kind of more like a hardened light shield. So if you're familiar in Halo, like they have the light bridges and stuff like that, they have hardened light that the Forerunners created. Whereas in prior Halos, like the shield was more, you could see through it and stuff like that, and it would kind of like fizzle out. But when your shield fails in this, like especially on elites, you can see that it actually like explodes off of them, like pieces fly off of them of the shield. And the same thing happens with Master Chief, but the brutes, their shield is actually different, and it doesn't look like it recharges like the elites do, because he fights one brute, and then after he gets out of the cannon, the first one that he encountered with the shield is still there, and he's easily taken out. And then he encounters another one with the shield that he has to get rid of the shield, and then he can kill him. I was like, that's interesting. Brutes have never had a shield before. So, and that was the only two. It wasn't the two from the drop pod that we saw, when they came down. It was just two at the very end. So whether they are, different class, something like that, I'm not sure.
I just want to say, first of all, like, this is what the Freelancer Codex is about. Like, deep dives into trailers that are only like 7 minutes long, to where you could just talk for hours about little details that you miss, little details that you catch. Like, what does it mean for this? Like, this is what the Codex is about, right? Like, it's just bringing me back, Devin. Like the excitement of like, hey, you watched this thing how many times, and you kept finding new and new things. Did you notice? And tell me if I'm wrong, because I like when Chief kind of does like a little power slide to the right.
Mm.
Does he actually just like? Does he have a boost? Is he sliding? What could you tell from
I
that?
think
'Cause
he's
to me, it
just
looks like he's sliding.
Yeah, I think he's just sliding, right? So you can slide in Halo 5. And so there's some of the things that they're keeping over, like some of the information they came out with. So like the grapple shot will be in multiplayer, but it's a pickup. It's a piece of equipment. So I think a lot of like the power up stuff is all going to be equipment, which I really like, because that was in Halo 3 where you could pick those up and use them. And so I think that'll definitely make things more competitive in multiplayer instead of everybody just having it. It's like, okay, it's like trying to get the power weapon, trying to get the pickups. That was a big thing in Halo 3 is trying to control the map flow, control the items, power ups. And so I think that's going to be a good thing. Whether he has thrusters or not, they haven't said. I don't know if you need thrusters if you have grapple shot, but I don't know. I mean, we know there's upgrades in the story, in the campaign. So
Right.
what that all entails, I don't know. But just the fact that they're like, it's the story in the campaign that you get at launch is larger than both Halo 4 and 5 combined is ridiculous, right? Like those are each like minimum 8 to 10 hours depending on what difficulty you're playing in. And I do like.
Did they say the story was that or the map size?
No, this like the whole. I mean, I don't know if it's just the story, but they said campaign, so I don't know if that also means the side missions, because it is they confirmed it's like Ghost of Tsushima, where there's a main story that you can follow, and then there's all these side quests that you can go do, like the ones where that they're showing off basically in this demo is a side mission where he's going to destroy 3 anti-air guns. And so you can go about that in any order that you want, they said. Obviously, as you're going through the main story, that will continue on. And so we don't, hopefully I'm sure they'll give us more info.
Yeah, they keep calling it a semi-open world. It's not like a full open world. It's just a semi. Like when you have a semi-open world. So Mike, would you say that Devin is a Halo super fan? Would you say that?
You know what? I don't know if I would, and I'll qualify that because the little bit that I've known Devin and the things that he talks about, I think he's more of a. I do think he likes Halo and he's all about those characters, but I also think there's an element of Devin is all about the tech and the kind of the the tech's the right word, like the technology behind it, frame rates, ray tracing, blips and flummy dupes, you know, like Devin's all about that stuff. I think that's cool. That's not something to be like to like say anything about. But so I think there's two layers going on right now. I think Devin
Well,
really does like Halo, but he's also geeking out about the actual, you know, teraflops and floppy dupes and all that stuff.
what I was expecting you to say, Mike, was yes. Because we have a Halo quiz for Devin to see if he is a super fan.
Rusty says
think
Devin is a
that's-
geek, Mike. All right.
we should rehearse these more if you wanted
was
me
just
to say something particular.
All right, so we are going to take the Halo quiz that I found online. So I bet it's a super legit quiz that totally is accurate. So Devin, are you up for taking this Halo quiz? It says it's the hardest quiz that only a true Master Chief will get. More
Yeah.
than 15 of these questions.
I'm
You
sure
ready to
Mike
go?
and I will be happy to take it.
Oh
All
yeah,
right,
I'm gonna.
so-
What happens when I beat you though? See,
Ooh.
Then I'll say, dang, you're pretty good.
see,
Then Mike will be a super fan.
I'm a
But
closet
not just a super fan, a guy that also likes the tech. So question number 1. Who originally announced the first Halo game? Was it Bonnie Ross, Bill Gates, or Steve Jobs?
Steve Jobs.
Bonnie Ross.
Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, it's not going to tell me to the very end. It's one of those stupid quizzes. Whatever. All right. Question number 2.
Lame.
Which 2 Covenant weapons in Halo Combat Evolved was Chief unable to use? Was it the Needler and Plasma Pistol, the Covenant Carbine and Needler, the Energy Rod, and Fuel Rod Cannon?
The energy rod and fuel rod cannons.
I'm going with that.
So Energy Sword and Fuel Rod Cannon.
Oh no, he can. No, you could use
In
the
Halo
sword.
1.
Those are both part of the
Needler-
answer.
Yeah, which 2 Covenant weapons in Halo Combat Evolved was Chief unable to use? Was it the Needler and Plasma Pistol, the Covenant Carbine and Needler, or the Energy Sword and Fuel Rod Cannon?
I would go with the carbine and needler.
All right, Carbine and Needler.
Yeah, I thought
That
I remember them
is-
using a Needler.
Because if they have the
Which-
sword and fuel rod, like you could pick up the swords, and you could use
Well,
the
yeah.
plasma pistol. So that's the only one where there's ones that, by a process of elimination.
I guess we'll have to figure this out. All right, which which Halo game has the lowest Metacritic score? How is this like supposed to make you a super fan? This is a dumb question.
I don't know why you chose that. Why you
Yeah,
thought
Halo
the internet
2
was gonna come through for you.
Yeah, seriously. Halo 2, Halo 3, or Halo 5? No,
Halo-
it says Halo 3 ODST. Sorry.
I would put it at Halo 5.
All right.
And what was the question though?
So
Which has the lowest
which had
Metacritic
the lowest
score?
Metacritic
Because
score?
I know like both Halo 2 and 3 were in like the 90s, and ODST was also in the 90s, I believe. So
All right, question number 4. What is the name of the Halo 2 multiplayer map, which reappeared in Halo 3 as Last Resort? This is like a Devin question. Is it Ascension, Midship, or Zanzibar?
Zanzibar.
All right, we can go with Zanzibar. It's not going to tell us until the
Wait,
very
what was the
end
question
here.
again?
It's probably just gonna say like you got 13 of 15 right, and it's not even gonna tell you which one.
Tell me the
No,
question
It has
again.
to tell me. I already
won't,
like
though.
Oh,
I already clicked it. It's all right. What is the name
Probably
of the
Ascension.
first ever Halo novel? Is it Until Dawn, First Strike, or The Fall of Reach?
Fall of Reach.
Fall of Reach, says Devin. All right. Let's see. What is the name of the multiplayer badge you collect for killing an enemy while they're charging you with an energy sword? I'm not even going to give you the multiple choice for this one.
It's the one with the bull. Shoot.
You can hear it. Come on, hear it.
I know I can hear it, but
I'll give it to you since you said the one with the bull because it's called Bull True.
yes, that's it.
Yeah. So everyone knows that one. All right. Next one. What is Master Chief's name?
I even know
What
this
his
one.
full name? Really? What's his name?
It just says his first name and then his designation.
What's his name? Mike, you say you know it. What's his name?
It's John Malcolm McGorner.
It's John 117.
All right.
His last name isn't 117.
That's
his
because they
designation.
designated.
The next question will be:
What's your
how
last
many
name? Hey,
Halos?
hey, Mr.
How many Master
117.
Chiefs are there? Name all the Master Chiefs. Which of the following was not an early code name for the original Halo? Monkey Nuts, Blam,
Wait, what was the
or
second one?
Ringworld? Blam. There's an exclamation point, so I have to say it like Blam.
I'll say Blame.
I can't just. Was not an early code name.
Yep.
All right.
Because I know Ringworld was for sure.
So when I click on these questions, it like gives me a green and a red, but the lowest selected answer is always red, and the highest selected answer is always green. So I'm not sure if that's telling me anything, like if it's right or wrong. Like this is Games Radar, you suck. What is the last thing Chief says to Cortana before entering cryosleep at the end of Halo 3?
Wake me when you need me.
Yeah, whatever. Like this is like only the real Master Chief will whatever.
So what happens when you depend on somebody else's test and you don't make it up yourself? I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
but
this
it's
is gonna
like-
be like really bad because Steven's gonna draw from like all this crap, and I'm like,
I
oh,
get all this like obscure knowledge that no one would ever get. So who is the only main character to appear and have a speaking role in Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, and Reach?
who's the only main character?
Yeah, so the multiple choice is Cortana, Sergeant Avery Johnson, or 343 Guilty Spark.
I'll go with Sergeant Johnson.
I think I actually know this one. Are you sure?
I mean, it's not
Is that your
Cortana.
final answer?
Well, she did speak. She did speak in Reach. So then it would have to be her.
All right, so you're gonna go Cortana.
Because Johnson died, but I mean, it could be pretty. Spoiler alert.
All right, so Nolan North has appeared in how many Halo games? And
Yeah.
the question is this.
Yeah,
Nolan North would be, who was Nolan North? Was he Guilty Spark? No, he wasn't Guilty Spark.
he's. I don't even know
Let's see.
which one he did the voice acting for.
I will tell you, Nolan North has been in every game since the start of time, and he played.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
I don't know if I should tell you
Cortana
this.
calls the Master Chief John.
So Halo North portrayed a Marine in Halo 3. Sergeant John Forge, Halo Wars, Corporal. Huh.
I don't know,
Yeah, I
so
guess he
3 or
was just in
4?
there.
Mhm.
So it's the answer is 0, 2, or 4.
4 then.
All right, 4 it is. Waka waka. All right, who is the final character
Waka
to
waka.
die? Who is the final character to die in Halo Reach? Is it Noble 5, Noble 6, or Noble 7?
Noble 6.
Final answer?
Yeah. Final character to
Okay.
die?
All right.
You're the final character.
It's never shown on screen. Just saying. So who wrote the script for the never-made big screen Halo movie? Peter Jackson, Alex Garland, or Eric Nyland?
Well, Peter Jackson was gonna direct it. Right?
But who wrote the script?
Guess I'll just have to put. I don't. Yeah, I'll just do Peter Jackson.
All right.
He's not a
so we're gonna
writer.
move-
He's a hobbit.
We're going to move on. What is the Latin name for the flood? Why would there be? Okay. Is it inferi redevias, mortuis dimabalito? That's more Spanish than Latin.
That's
or
your Latin?
corpora reincarnada. That's more Spanish also.
That last one.
Okay. Let's move on to what is the meditative state that Forerunners enter into when using a cryptum in Halo 5? Is it Zankara? Wait. So maybe I don't know how to pronounce this, but there's X Ankara, which to me reads Zankara. And then there's ZAN Kara, which is Zankara. And then there's Karhana.
Oh, not a true fan.
Come on, Super Halo
I
fan.
think the
This segment
Forerunner stuff is like my least favorite part of it. Mostly because I don't like Great Bear's writing style.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't even remember this stuff from Halo 5.
I'm gonna go with the one with the X.
All right. All right, now let's see here. What was the working title for the canceled Halo MMO? Titan Project, Overwatch, or Chronicles? No, two of those are like Blizzard titles.
Yeah, let's do Overwatch.
All right. Let's see.
That was
Halo
going to be made
not-
by Obsidian, by the way.
Was it really?
Yeah, they'd been working on it for a couple of years, and then Microsoft said no, and then that's what really kind of almost tanked Obsidian, because they were depending on that, and then they had to go find other games to
Other
make.
work?
Yeah, so that's why it was like a really big deal when Obsidian signed with Microsoft, because there was like bad blood between them for years. But that was old management versus new.
Are you ready to hate this next question?
Sure.
Halo has not appeared in which one of these games? Dead or Alive 4, Guitar Hero, or Shovel Knight? Let me say that again. Halo has not appeared in which one of these games?
I'm gonna go with. You said Dead or Alive 4.
Dead or
No,
Alive 4,
'cause I think
Guitar
there's-
Hero, or Shovel Knight?
In Shovel Knight, I believe there's like a Master Chief skin or whatever. I'll just go with Guitar Hero.
All right. Question 18. We're almost done here. Members
gosh.
of which? Oh, geez. Members of which TV show cast formed most of the ODST team? Is it Stargate, Babylon 5, or Firefly?
Firefly.
Firefly. You have to be a super fan to know this. Halo Wars was originally built. I'm just going to read this as is. I'm just going to go from memory. Halo Wars was originally built on what game engine? Command and Conquer, Age of Mythology, or Halo 2?
I believe Command and Conquer.
This is like the longest quiz ever. All right. In Halo 5 Guardians, what caused the biggest technical problem during development?
Split stream.
Maintaining 60 FPS? Animated cactuses that reacted to gunfire? Screw you, quiz. Like, seriously? If like this is something that you're gonna come at us with, oh, you've got to be the best to know this. Like, screw you.
Those are the only two options.
Drop in, drop out co-op.
Yeah, it's the co-op
Oh.
because they canceled it. They just didn't have it.
Devin, you got 10 correct.
Wow.
You are a master, but not of Halo, it says. So I think it was telling me like that last part here, so I can go back to these now. Let's see. It says animating cactuses that react to gunfire was the biggest hurdle from Halo 5.
It sounds like it. Because I don't even see a cactus in the entire game. What are you talking about?
I think there might be cactuses when you go to the Sangili
Maybe.
homeworld, but I don't remember like shooting a cactus and like even like caring if it reacted at all.
I remember them talking about it, but I figured because neither one of them are I guess neither one of them are in there, so I guess it's more difficult than co-op. What else did I get wrong?
I don't know. I closed that quiz because it's a garbage quiz. So I said, F that noise. Let's get out of here.
50%. Woo!
Devin, congratulations. You are a master in all of our hearts on all things Halo. So real quick.
Honestly, there's a lot of stuff in Halo, right? So
There's a lot. Like there's a lot of content there for you to try to categorize and file away. And
did you know it?
no one feels any less of you because you failed the test. I mean, you just have to get rid of your whole designation of being the on-site Halo expert. I mean, that's not gonna alter your
I mean, I'm pretty sure I got more right than you did, so no. But
Steven stopped asking me questions after question
Yeah.
2. So.
they did you know they have at least 2 people that they call lore masters that create like their Halo Bible basically that
Yep.
puts everything together.
And you're
Man,
not one of them,
those guys
obviously.
have to know a lot of stuff. No, definitely not.
Well, those guys also aren't asked to like, stupid quiz questions created by the internet. They're like, hey, lore master, remember that time where we couldn't get the cactuses to register right? That was the worst hurdle ever.
It's like
The whole
maybe
game
in
hinged on
someone's
cactuses.
opinion, I guess, but
Yeah. Anyway, Cool. Let's go talk about something fun again.
Yeah.
Because that
Yay.
quiz.
I get
was
distracted by
really
this
long.
video playing in the background.
I
Yes,
get
so
distracted
do
by
I.
you having it playing in the background also. From now on, only static images. So let's actually go over to the news. Keanu, bring us in for the news.
Are you kidding me? That is how
That's the wrong one.
That's the
Yeah, are
wrong
you
one,
kidding
dude.
me?
I gotta talk to you about something.
So real quick, just a couple things that happened in the news since we're already going a little bit long on the show, so we'll cover a lot of these fairly quickly. Ubisoft will not be raising prices. According to an earnings call, their CEO said they will not be raising prices for this holiday season at least. So maybe in the future they'll jump it up to $70, but for right now, Ubisoft will not raise the price of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Maybe Ubisoft just didn't want more terrible press, so they decided to leave it at $60.
Like,
after everything
we
that's
got
happened.
enough flack already.
Yeah, so maybe they should clean up everything that's happening on their side of the aisle, and stop abusing people at your company.
I do
But,
have a
hey,
Halo news bit that I doubt you.
please hit us with that Halo news bit.
So Brad Sams, right? You know, Insider. You've heard of Brad Sams?
Totally.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's been semi-reliable, but so it was on Thursday. He's like, they're having, during this whole like meltdown, blah blah blah. He's like, one source told me that multiplayer is not going to launch with Halo Infinite, and like less than 2 hours later, like the community manager's like, this is total boost. This is not true whatsoever. And so, I mean, it was good. They put the kibosh on that like super quick because they're like, no, that is not even. And usually he doesn't go off of just one source. So,
yeah, I'm surprised that rumor got as much traction as it did that fast.
oh, because everybody was already hating on it, so they were like, oh, delay the game. And I'm like, shut up. I don't want them to delay the game. I'll punch you in the pants. You shut your mouth.
Yeah, so multiplayer for Halo is not being delayed. All right, so prices are not going up right now. Hey, do you guys remember the channel G4? This might just be like G4 was a place where you can go and get a lot of video game stuff. This is where Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb did their show. This is where what's her face licked the controller that like melted the internet down for like several months. And also, do you guys remember there was a show, Devin, and I couldn't remember the name of it, where they would have two teams compete in 4 different games, and there was usually always Mech Warrior. I think one of them was always Doom or Unreal, and then at the end they would figure out who was the best at all these different games. Do you remember the name of that show?
I don't remember because my mother would not let me watch that channel because they did really weird things many times, because they were trying to be edgy or whatever. But I don't.
So G4 would always do like anime at night. They had really weird anime on super late at night, so I'd stay up and watch that. They also had they would just show game trailers like over and over again for like 2-hour blocks. You could just watch game trailers. So that was always cool. So apparently it's coming back. There was a couple tweets and like everyone on the internet is like, "Oh, hire me. I want to be on the show. I want to be on the show. Hire this person." Like, how does this even come back? Does it come back like is it a Twitch show? Does it come back like
I think it's coming back on. So it's owned by Comcast, right? And they have their new streaming service. It's called Peacock. So I'm guessing it's going to be on there for sure, and they'll have it on their streaming service. And it's also run by their. Supposedly run by the guy who's in charge of all their esports league stuff that they're developing.
Fox guy?
Yeah, I don't remember what his name is, but they're
Something
developing
Adam Fox?
esports league or something, and so he's going to be in charge of it. But I'm guessing this is Comcast's bigger push into trying to get into that and just going to have it on their streaming service. Which, if you have Comcast or Xfinity, you get that streaming service for free. So.
You know it'd be cool if there was a place where people could just go broadcast and them playing video games or talking about video games. That would be a cool thing that people should do. People should jump on that.
I would prefer it be,
because like as cool and as like, oh, the nostalgia of G4 coming back. Like I'm not gonna tune into G4. Like I will continue to get my news from websites and podcasts that I listen to. I have zero desire to watch talking heads talk about it, like even though like I guess we're talking heads technically talking about video games right now, But I'm like, that's kind of like what Twitch has become, right? This is where you go to get your hot takes, to go in depth, to get news. Like G4 is like, I think it's something of the past that I'm like have zero interest of going back to. So cool for them, I guess. Good luck. All right.
Rusty in the chat says, "What, you guys are broadcasting? I thought Devin was streaming that game."
Yep, Devin has been
I
playing
just
the
put
same
my
8-minute
camera.
loop.
Oh yeah, this whole time I just put my camera real big.
Real big, and this is what I'm playing. This is
Rusty,
all I
you're
do.
funny.
I
wish I was playing Halo Infinite. I mean, if I had Halo Infinite, I would be like, yeah,
Garbage
I'm totally
game,
talking to you
garbage
guys.
tier, PlayStation for life. Metacritic is changing its user review policy. Instead of users being able to review a game instantly, they have to wait 36 hours. So
Oh,
this
they
is
upped it from
actually something
24,
that-
huh? I thought it was only a day.
Yeah. When I read it, it was 36 hours. But this is something that should have been in place like 178 years ago.
Yeah.
Like the review bombs on Metacritic are ridiculous. So
I mean, it's not going to change anything. Just the review bombs are going to start a day and a half after the game launches.
Well, that's fine, but at least we know that
Is it though?
something is
I
different.
I like these Steam ones where it's like, yeah, it's verified that this person has played it and owns the game. So you can be like, oh, this person who's giving it a review doesn't own the game, hasn't even played it, but it tells you right there. And so it's just like, well, shut up, that person. Shut up.
Yeah,
Shut up.
I like the reviews where people are like 278 hours. I hate this game. It's garbage. Those are my favorite
It's
reviews.
like, wait, you played a lot? What?
Yeah. Rocket League is going to free to play. They were purchased by Epic a while ago. They're going to be coming to the Epic Game Store, and Rocket League is going to be free, which is super cool because Rocket League is a super fun game. If you're good at it, if you're garbage at it, it's not that much fun when you play against good people.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun a couple years ago. I don't know. But a lot of people still play it.
Rusted says, Steve, you're very thorough. I think there is a sheer lack of journalists in game journalism. You would return us to an era that is actually journalism on games. I would dive into like the useless details of, now let me tell you about this rock over here on the left. This rock was made by this person. I appreciate that, Rusted. You are a kind soul. Like and subscribe, Rusted.
He's like, I already am.
I know. We appreciate Rusted and our correspondent from Japan. So Godfall, we got a couple of news. They sent out Eric's got a little interview to talk about Godfall. They released a new Valor plate. It's the 4th official Valor plate that has been announced. It's the Wolf Valor plate called the Hinterclaw. They have also announced, stop that, Devin, you're going to make me seasick. They have also announced that there will be no microtransactions in Godfall. It is going to be content ready to go. You'll be able to complete it. There will be an end game. We don't know what that means for future DLC or future content, how they're going to dole that out, but we know that there will not be any microtransactions. We also know, and to the
no
dismay of
cosmetics,
that there will be no cosmetics because the Valor plates are going to be very much like
the game's
frames
DOA.
in Warframe, that you can change like the color. We don't know if you'll be able to change the textures like you can in Anthem, but you're not going to be able to mix and match your armor sets. The Valor plate you are wearing is the Valor plate that you are wearing, and that's it. So that'll be pretty interesting to see.
Send him a letter.
That's fine. You can be disappointed, but it's on PlayStation, so
on
PlayStation
PC.
Master Race.
What are you talking about?
Nope.
Who,
it's gonna
out
be
of the
inferior
three of us,
because you don't have
out of the
an
three of us,
SSD.
who has a PlayStation right now?
You do.
I do. That's right.
Yeah, you do. I don't know. I don't understand your question, like why you're asking or pointing that out right now. So that'll be cool. I'm excited for Godfall. That's going to come out later. We'll know exactly when that's going to launch when we hear more about the PlayStation 5. Cuphead got a surprise release on PlayStation 4 today. Something that I didn't know anyone was going to be expecting at all. It's just like, hey, here you go, PlayStation. Here's Cuphead, one of the best platformers that has come out in a really long time. I think it's MDH, Devin, right? It's MDH, MDG?
Studio
I forget the
MDH.
name.
Or MDA.
They made, I think it's MDH. They made one of the funnest games of 2017. I think that game has been out that long. I really enjoyed Cuphead. It's a super hard game. My co-hosts have not been able to beat it because they're not as pro gamers as I am. But that is a super fun game. It's come to Switch.
I mean, my
It's
kids
come
beat
to
it. It can't be
PlayStation
that
4.
hard, Steven.
You are a liar and a deceiver. So PlayStation 4 is getting Cuphead. That is super cool. I think at least one level of Cuphead is also out on the Tesla models. If you have a Tesla, you could play Cuphead while you drive. Maybe, not sure. Don't quote me on that, but that's happening. All right. There's been a massive Nintendo leak. Everyone has been talking about it. I didn't know how much we
Gigs
wanted
of
to talk
data.
about it here. However, there is one cool thing that did leak. There, a long time ago, if we all go into the Wayback Machine to 1999, when Mario 64 released, was that 1999? Let's somebody fact check me and tell me when Mario 64 was released.
It's fake
For some
news.
reason, I'm
Fake
thinking
news.
it's 1999.
Steven's already lost his journalistic cred.
Like and subscribe. There was a rumor that was going around.
96.
Ah, it was
Mario
close.
64 is a 96 platform game for the Nintendo 64 and the first in the Super Mario series to feature 3D gameplay. As Mario, the player explores Princess Peach's castle and must rescue her from Bowser, because we didn't do that in any of the games before that.
Like,
Not in
like and
3D.
subscribe for the rescue.
Nintendo has the best IPs and best games ever, don't you know? They don't repeat anything.
Adrian is not here. Stop it. So one of the rumors was Kevin just like crossed his arms and put a pouty look on his face.
It's
Rusty
really
said
funny to
96 was the
derail
year he got married.
Steve.
No, I don't like it when you guys try to derail me. All right, so
The derailer.
the rumor was that when you got 120 stars, which was the maximum amount of stars in the game, you could find a secret place into the top of the castle, and you could finally play as Luigi. There was a shadow of a character at one point in a waterfall where everyone thought that they would be able to play as Luigi. It never happened. Couldn't ever figure it out. In this Gigaleak, we found the Luigi model for Mario 64. So potentially it could have been in there, but it never was. But now we know that maybe it was at one time, but that it got cut. Rusted says, thanks for bringing up such a painful memory. Next time, just give me a paper cut and pour lemon juice on it. I'm sorry, Rusted. I
We're
apologize.
closed.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, boys.
All right.
Have fun storming the castle.
So this next article, I dropped a picture in chat for you. Devin, I don't know if you can like bring this up on your camera, but there is a device called the Analogue Pocket. And the Analogue Pocket is a Game Boy device in which you can play.
There's nothing in chat here.
Not in chat, on the document. It's a Game Boy-like device to where you can play your old cartridges on this device. All right. So this is what the description says. So last year, the makers of the Super NT and Mega SG premium retro consoles announced a gorgeous new device that lets you play your favorite handheld games of yesteryear in the best possible way. The Analogue Pocket lets you play more than 3,000 Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance cartridges with the option to purchase. Thank you for covering up the lines that I was reading. I really, really appreciate it. Expand the library to include Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket, and the Atari Lynx. Unfortunately, the sleek device, which was originally scheduled to ship sometime this year, has been delayed to May 2021 due to supply chain issues outside of Analogue's controls, probably due to COVID-19. Now, looking at this device, is this something that you two would be interested in purchasing in order to play old cartridges on?
No. I don't have any old cartridges. I mean, it'd be cool to check out and use, but I mean, if I could buy a cartridge with games on it, but I don't have any old Game Boy cartridges.
Mike, is this something that would be interesting to you at all? To be able to like play Tetris again on a Game Boy-like device?
No. I mean, no. I think it'd be fun to play those games again, but just not on another device. I don't like going backwards.
Put it up on screen for everybody.
So let me ask you this question now, because the pre-orders for Analogue Pocket go live next week on August 3rd. And the Analogue Pocket costs $200.
If you didn't catch that, it was I didn't do it right the second time.
So I think this is actually a cool looking device, but I don't think it's $200. I said it's a cool looking device. It has, it's very much a throwback to those old
like
Game Boy.
Game Boy.
It looks like a sleek square Game Boy. It looks like that Note Slate, Devin. Do you remember the Note Slate when everyone like tried
Such
to
a
get the
troll,
Note Slate to be a
right?
thing, and then it was never a thing? And
I
on
still
Facebook,
get
like, completely
stuff for that kind of device all the time. They come up with different
Do you
names
really?
all the time. There's like the thinnest tablet ever. It's like, You could write on
It's
it.
it's a piece of paper. But yeah, so far like I think those are the big news beats. I mean, I think this is a cool device, but really like Nintendo should just actually have a better virtual store on the Switch in order for people to access these games. I know there's a lot of issues when you talk about licensing and all that stuff, but I mean, man, like there's obviously a desire to play old games. But again, I wonder if it's just like, yep, I booted this up for 5 minutes and now I'm done. So,
It's just
it,
like, my older systems that I have in a box. I don't hardly ever play. Play them for like a weekend or 2 weekends. It's fun. You're like, no, I'm good. Thanks.
You
Yeah.
you pull them out when you're painting the walls in the house and everything has to be out of the way. You plug in the SNES and you play that with the kiddos and then you're done. Like it's back in the linen closet where we put it. So
where it belongs. Well, cool. Well,
I
guys,
don't know if it belongs there.
I really appreciate the time that you spent with me today talking about video games and talking about the industry, and Rusted hanging out with us. SJ, KDT, thanks for hanging out. Everyone else that's lurking there in chat. Um, I'm excited for, let's see, Gamescom is the next big thing that's coming up, and that'll be here in 28 days. That'll be so next week we should do our Gamescom prediction show, because that's going to be like where we see a lot more stuff from, hopefully from Sony. We're going to see more stuff from Xbox. It's probably going to be some more Cyberpunk stuff, because Cyberpunk seems to be everywhere.
That game's still
Can't
coming
get
out?
away from Cyberpunk. Say that again.
Is that game still coming out?
Yeah, that game is
It's not going to
coming
get
out
delayed till
around-
next year?
So far, no. It comes out around the same time as Stormlight number 4, so I'll probably be reading that before I play the game. Probably around the same time as the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, which we learned has removable blades. So I don't know if you can like remove them to paint them
Maybe.
yourself. And that's the thing with these consoles. Like the consoles have never had something like that that's like removable to where you can customize, right? Like these
Right.
consoles are not built.
I mean, the Xbox
to
360 had the
be taken apart.
faceplate.
That's true, and I wish they would have done more with that, but it seems like they just never really did anything with it.
Yep.
But recently, like this generation, it was like, hey, you want a special edition console? Like you're gonna have to buy a whole brand new console to get this different paint job. Which I would rather much just like, hey, sell me different looking plates that go on the outside of my PlayStation, and that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because then I would buy many more of them without having to shell out another $400. Oh, real quick question. I keep hearing people say that the PlayStation Series X will be a huge value at $500.
Yeah.
Why on earth would Microsoft try to hit that price point and not hit a $400 price point?
No,
It
so
seems
I don't
insane
think
to me
they're
that they would go 500.
No, I don't think they're going to do 500. I believe they're going to undercut Sony if so. They're both playing a game of chicken, right? And they're trying to wait out the other person. But I believe Microsoft is being super aggressive, and they're going to undercut Sony, by as much as $100. So I think they're going to be, the more less expensive box and the more powerful box.
Yeah, but let's say Sony comes out and says, hey, PlayStation 5, $400, just like the PlayStation 4 was. Like, you think Microsoft releases Series X at $300?
See, that's the thing. That's why they're waiting, right? So, the BOM for the PlayStation is supposed to be like $480, right? That's with disc drive. Without the disc drive, which is like $20, so maybe $460. And so, what the kind of thought is really for the digital one, they get a high revenue share, right, of the actual game when you buy the game, and two, they can still be like PlayStation 5 starting at $400, or $450, whatever they're gonna do, but that's just for the all digital one, right? I just don't know because their SSD is super expensive. The stuff they made in there is really custom and really expensive. That's the problem with what they did by going with their extremely fast SSD and having to make everything all their own. They can't just customize one that you can get for cheaper. I'm not saying that either system is cheap, but yeah, for $500, like especially on the Series X, that's supposed to be like around the same power as a 2080 Ti, which costs $1,200 by itself. I mean, $500 is ridiculous.
Yeah, but we're talking about consoles though. It's not like, hey, all of a sudden this console is like $1,000 console. Like,
Yeah,
when
no,
we
I mean
talk about
they're going to
value
be
for
500
console-wise,
max. That's why they're saying it's going to be a huge deal at $500 because it's got current gen CPU, current gen GPUs, high speed memory, all this stuff, and then even at $500 it'd be a steal with all the stuff that you're able to do. So I don't know.
I think that these guys, if they do not put them out at $400, then it's a huge misstep, especially considering the success Sony had last time. I mean, that price point is one of the reasons they got locked in as the definitive de facto
Well, I
champions
mean,
of this generation.
they both have different strategies, right? Like, so Xbox is going to do the Series X and the Series S, so they're going to have a $200 to $250 machine,
which we haven't heard about yet at
yeah,
all.
I mean, because it's hard to talk about the cheaper machine when you can't reveal price for the other machine.
Right,
But
and I get that, but I also think that like I think instead of I think Microsoft, Rusted, thanks for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you later. I think Microsoft needs to, every time that they show a game, they need to announce that it's coming to Game Pass. And like they really need to like take the focus off of the box, because that's really where Microsoft's
I mean,
strategy is
that's
going,
what they
is
did,
to
right?
Game Pass. Well, not really. Like they mentioned it at the beginning that it's all coming, but instead of like saying like world exclusive, they really need to just replace world exclusive with coming to Game Pass, because that's really where their strategy going forward is. That's really where people are going to find the value, because really for them, that's the game that they're playing. So which makes it even more interesting for me, like why the cat and mouse with Sony. Like if Sony wants to put out a box for $400, like let them do that. I don't think the Series X needs to compete with that, because
because
their
it's
games will
still
say
about
coming
messaging.
coming to Game
Because
Pass.
no
I
matter
get
the
that,
news, they
but
have the uphill battle, irregardless.
yeah, I just think it's something that they need to capitalize more on. So anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out again. Chat, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate all the support that you give us. And until next time, there's a Shaper Storm on the horizon. So we'll see you on the other side.
Thank you for
What?
listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up
just
and
something you
Respawn
say.
Network. Follow us at Freelancer Codex on Twitter or Twitch.
Fake news.
Send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com or voice messages to
Is your voice just cracked?
anchor.fm/Freelancer
Probably.
Codex.
I need something to drink.
Voice messages.
We
It
wish
was-
to thank all of our
It
Patreons.
was really tough
We are grateful
to record
for
that
you all.
line because there were a lot of S's.